This week on Heroes Made in the USA, heroes overcoming obstacles. The Washington Bullets drafted Tyrone Bogues in the first round, and the 5'3" rookie plans to live up to their expectations. Actor Thomas Gist traveled a long, bumpy road before landing a role in the premiere episode of Dabney Coleman's Slap Maxwell television series. And the auditions, agents, and Actors Guild were the least of his problems. She once danced for herself and George Balanchine's New York City Ballet. Now, Xena Bethune dances through the Disabled Children of Dance Outreach.
Hi, I'm Joe Namath. Welcome to Heroes Made in the USA and Heroes Who Overcome Obstacles. Two of the qualities that separate heroes from the crowd are the determination and belief in themselves necessary to let no obstacle come between them and their goals. Everyone knows that basketball is a tall man's game, but NBA first-round draft pick Tyrone Bogues won't let a little thing like height stop him. It was never a problem finding Tyrone Bogues on the basketball court when he played for Wake Forest. All you had to do was look for the shortest guy on the floor, the one who was the biggest playmaker. In 4 seasons in the tough Atlantic Coast Conference, the player whose nickname is Muggsy set career records for assists and steals. Not bad for someone who's only 5'3". Tyrone Bogues is about to set another record. This determined young man from one of Baltimore's toughest neighborhoods will become the shortest player in the National Basketball Association as he joins the Washington Bullets. It has been some kind of journey from the mean streets of Baltimore's East Side.
It was difficult growing up around here, but I think you need to go either way. You either come out on the basketball court and try to do something that take you away from going outside the gates. So we come out here and we just go at each other's throat. You know, at that time it was just a hobby for us, but as we got much older, it became a love for some of us.
I think he dreamed basketball when he went to bed at night, but
Tyrone's mother, Elaine Bogues,
so much, and that made him put all his effort into the game, and that way it didn't give him time to get any kind of trouble, you know, outside.
His friends from the projects remember how good Muggsy was and how young he was when he started to stand out.
Age of 12. When he used to play the summer leagues.
And as for trying to move the ball against Muggsy, forget it.
I couldn't move nowhere. As soon as I get the ball in my hand, I have to give it to someone.
Still, there were those who wondered, could Tyrone, only 5'3", play with the big guys? The answer would come when he enrolled at Dunbar High School in his Baltimore neighborhood. Dunbar was a basketball powerhouse, then coached by Bob Wade.
Tyrone would frequent Dunbar High School on numerous occasions because his older brother and sister participated on the basketball on the respective teams. And his treat was to clear the bleachers and put the bleachers up, and I'd give the kids a basketball and let them shoot around the gymnasium. So, you know, I knew that he could handle basketball at a very young age.
In fact, Tyrone was so good that Coach Wade made him a key member of teams that dominated the region and the nation. Instead of clearing the bleachers at Dunbar, Tyrone was now packing them with devoted fans.
This gym right here, it really prepared you for, you know, basically how to play the game. You know, you got all the ingredients in it. You had the fans. You know, we had wall-to-wall people at all times.
And they loved Muggsy. Dunbar's championships and Tyrone's outstanding play spoke for themselves, and they attracted a herd of college recruiters.
I can remember him making decisions on what school to go to. It was a little doubt, but that just made him work hard. It made him try harder.
Tyrone's cousin, Carson Harrison, says he believed Muggsy would do well at any college, including the somewhat preppy Wake Forest in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
And I used to tease him and tell him that the only difference would be that he would be wearing penny loafers, you know, in khaki pants. He said, "No, I won't." You know, but yeah, you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever wear them?
No. Still haven't worn them since.
Yeah.
What Tyrone found at Wake Forest were even taller players and the realities of competing against better teams.
I had to keep my head. That's what I think it really brought the character out of me, because knowing that we lost so many games, I kind of sucked it up, and I just try to encourage the guys, just don't give up. Just give it 110%.
Tyrone was clearly a winner, even if his team wasn't. And in June of 1987, the Washington Bullets acknowledged his talents and determination by picking Tyrone in the very first round of the NBA draft.
He has a tremendous heart, tremendous desire, and I think he's got a game that will surprise all the skeptics.
Andrew Brandt is Tyrone's agent, and he's just one of many who think Tyrone will become a pro basketball star.
There's only so many thousand times a day that he can answer, how does it feel to be so short, and how are you going to play with all these trees in the NBA?
The Magic Johnsons, the Isaiah Thomas, they're going to have to make some adjustments to a Tyrone Bogues because he's going to cause havoc somewhere on that court.
Shows that someone from down around in the project area can make it. That's like he said, that it's a lot of athletes down here. If they show their talent and stick with school, they can go the same place where he went, even more.
I know he always had this determination, and whenever he put his mind to do something, and that's how come I knew if it wasn't the Washington Bullets, it would have been someone else.
And I'm just trying to go in with an open mind, try to take one step at a time, especially being a rookie, you can't expect too much. Basically have fun, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Coming up next on Heroes Made in the USA, Thomas Gist goes the AAA route, from alcohol and addict to actor. And Xena Bethune teaches kids to dance before they can walk.
Our next hero has overcome 3 of the toughest obstacles in contemporary society: alcoholism, drug addiction, and homelessness. Now he's clean in every way and making a new home for himself. From Skid Row to Hollywood via City Stage, the Los Angeles Repertory Theater of the Homeless. On a recent night in Los Angeles, theater director Donna Hines invited some friends over to watch TV. It was a small get-together in honor of Thomas Gist, who was about to make his television acting debut. This former heroin addict, alcoholic, and Skid Row resident had defied all those odds to get to this magic moment. His big scene with the star of the Slap Maxwell story, Dabney Coleman.
You eating fish, babe?
Cheeseburger.
Smells awful.
I didn't ask for the fried onions.
You heading out Chicago way?
I don't know.
But you on the move.
I guess so.
You a native of this general area?
Mm-hmm.
You want me to just let you be?
That's entirely up to you.
My daddy worked
This scene on the bus had a certain irony for Thomas Gist. The last bus trip he'd taken before this was to save his own life. Skid Row, the last stop on the way down and out in Los Angeles. Thomas says he had nowhere else to go when he got off the bus from Phoenix on Valentine's Day, 1985. He had no money. He was addicted to heroin and alcohol. But most of all, he says, he wanted to change.
This is the Salvation Army, drug addiction and alcohol abuse rehabilitation. And when I came to LA, this is one of the first places I came. I had enough of the sober life, though, to know that I liked it and that I could function much better without drugs and alcohol, but I just needed help to stop.
As he worked on getting straight, Thomas became a typical Skid Row inhabitant.
Go to the Mission, to the park, back to the Mission, and back to the park. And on Sundays, at Fred Jordan's Mission, they serve fried chicken. It was about that time that I saw this flyer that said, if you are homeless and you think you can act or write, then come to City Stage.
We as a group, it was a group of UCLA students, we came down here to form a repertory theater company, and we were very removed from the community. I mean, we basically came down
City
here
Stage director Donna Hines says the students decided to look for talent on Skid Row just to see who might walk in.
Well, I remember the first time I met Thomas. It was at the very beginning of the Inner City Arts Center program. I remember I went into this little room over here and he read me some of his poetry. And it was really incredible. It was just wonderful.
Okay, if it makes you feel any better, I promise I will not leave you alone.
Now, a promise is a promise.
I know what a promise is.
That's good.
All right.
All right.
Thomas was asked to audition for a part in an upcoming play. He passed with flying colors. One of the first people to see him perform was theatrical agent Joan Scott.
And I was very impressed with him, and I asked him to come and meet the agents in my office, and we met with him. We liked him very much, and we started sending him out for acting parts.
I'll lay it on the line. I don't want to be by myself.
Even though he'd never had any formal training, when Thomas went on stage, he was somehow convincing.
I could act. I always knew I could. I just never had enough nerve to try. That's all.
You were right.
You just know what to do. After you get a feel for the character, you know?
Well, I'll be. You him.
Oh, my Lord.
You must be on your way to the Super Bowl or the World Series.
No, I'm on my way back where I belong.
By landing this part, Thomas had done in a few months what many struggling actors never get to do even after years of trying. And given his background, it was a remarkable achievement. Tony Williams met Thomas at City Stage. Williams is an aspiring singer and actor who lives on Skid Row.
I just look at him and say, hey, go ahead, guy. You know, you're taking that first big step when you got that SAG card, which was unbelievable for anybody from Skid Row to get a SAG card.
But joining the Screen Actors Guild didn't automatically make Thomas a rich man. He needed more paying work, but the auditions were few and frustrating during the summer of '87. He did have enough money to rent a small room far away from Skid Row. It gave him privacy and security, and something else, pressure.
It's a frightening feeling. You feel afraid because you have to have a home and maintain it like ordinary people, you know? Whereas you are used to being in a situation where you don't have to do that.
While he was on Skid Row, Thomas wrote a monologue about his experience there.
I don't know what happened for me to get here on Skid Row like this, but the only thing left for me to do now is to get off. Now, what can I do? Oh, I know, I need money, a lot of money. If I had a lot of money, I could go around and give people money and donate money to the church, and I could pay my Uncle Bill's house note. I can hear him now calling on the phone saying, you know, oh, Thomas used to be strung out on drugs and alcohol, and he was crazy, but he paid off my house. He's got good sense now.
Coming up next on Heroes Made in the USA, former Balanchine prodigy Xena Bethune teaches the disabled to dance. And hometown heroes, the Tree People.
Once a child prodigy of Balanchine, Xena Bethune was a soloist with the New York City Ballet before a succession of medical problems ended her dancing career. But she overcame most of the disabling effects of her condition and formed Dance Outreach, a program enabling physically handicapped children to trip the light fantastic for audiences and their own self-esteem. Robert Thompson is legally blind, but thanks to Xena Bethune, he is also a dancer.
It feels kind of neat because I can do everything else that a sighted person can do. Keep the same beat and the same step and everything else.
We have our little minor miracles along the way, which are really quite something, and I think Robert's one of them because this is just a totally different human being from 2 years ago. I think it was the first time he realized himself that this was something that was his, that he could do, was his own, and something that he could then communicate to people with. And it was an extraordinary moment.
Xena can help Robert because she too can be considered disabled. At age 7, Xena Bethune was living what many little girls only dream of. She was a star of George Balanchine's New York City Ballet. But by age 11, reality interrupted her dream. Scoliosis, lymphedema, and dysplastic hips. Big medical terms for a little girl with a curved spine, a serious glandular problem, and disjointed hips.
And to hear the first time around that, well, you'll never dance again, you'll be in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. It was like, what? You know, what do you mean? That's impossible. My initial response, as devastated as I was absolutely not. I refuse to accept what you're telling me. I will find a way.
And she did find a way. After undergoing intense physical therapy for her curved spine and experimental hip replacement surgery, Xena regained enough mobility to dance again.
Obviously, there are adjustments that have to be made. I don't think I'll ever be doing Nutcracker or the classics. Can you bring this?
Unable to endure performance demands, Xena started the Dance Outreach Program in 1982, bringing the joy of dance to many handicapped children.
It felt right that that would be a way by which to give back, really, some of the beauty that I had been able to achieve and acquire and retain.
12 years after her first experimental surgery, her condition deteriorated.
And what happened then was that all the cartilage was totally worn out in between the socket and the femur. And when that happens, the two bones start to fuse together. So what happens is you have, instead of a little bit of space here, they get further and closer together, and they just start fusing. And I was getting worse and worse. And here I was starting Dance Outreach with the whole ideal of you keep going no matter what, you find who you are no matter what. And I was having trouble with just that thing, you know, who am I if I don't dance? And that happened right about in '83 when I met Sarah.
Sarah Anderson was one of the first members of Xena's Dance Outreach Program.
She's a very, very unusual human being, and I love her very much.
I just thought, how can she dance like that still without hurting all the time when she's dancing?
And somehow, just relating to her and watching her and kind of hanging on to what the whole ideal of the program was, which was to participate in life, not to drop out no matter what, to participate on any level is what it's about.
This way, right, okay. This one stretches, but yeah, okay. So we cross, and then we cross again. That's right. God, I wish I had that.
Well, when I couldn't do one thing in dancing, she'd have me do another thing. She's really nice. She can make the best out of any situation.
I have both hips now. I'm all metal. I set off all the alarms in airports. It's hysterical. You don't want to go to airport with me. Everything goes off. It's terrible. I carry little cards that say, do not arrest this person, metal implants. It's true.
Xena is still not able to dance professionally, but every time one of her kids hits the stage, she is out there with them, heart and soul.
She's a nice, wonderful person. I love her a lot for helping me out. And she showed me that a blind kid can do a lot.
When you are disabled, you really only have two choices, up or down. Am I going to live? Am I not? Am I going to live as a whole human being? Am I not going to live as a whole human being? Aren't too many shades of gray in there. Evidently, I made the decision up is for me. Who knows what's going to happen with that? If I dance again, it'll be just that much gravy. It'll be wonderful. And that very much is the way I feel about things. That I've proven to myself with my own life. And I guess it's up to each individual to find that for themselves.
And now, this week's hometown hero. In Los Angeles, volunteers plant 1,000 trees a month. They are the California Conservation Group, known fondly as the Tree People.
I think the important thing about this project is that we're doing something right here in America, that we've taken surplus goods and we've taken generous, given, donated services, and again, with a relatively small amount of money, we're able to do something that we think will have a large impact.
The Tree People planted 1 million trees before the '84 Olympics to beautify the city, clean the air, and demonstrate their commitment to working together. The Los Angeles urban forest continues to grow, thanks to the efforts of the Tree People, this week's hometown heroes.
Heroes let nothing stand in their way, be it nature, medical science, or fate.